With 3 rounds of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship completed, Hayden Patton has let consistent results take him to a 23-point lead. But early series leader Richard Mason is still in the hunt despite a huge crash at Rally Whangarei. And speaking of former champs, Chris West finally got his championship back on track with the win at Whangarei. Aaron Cook leads the Kiwi 2 class, and the Classics return. Robert Murray chasing down the leader, Rob Wiley. So we're all set for a wet one, the Battle of the Bay. The Art Deco capital of the world, the sunshine capital of the Hawke's Bay, and this week home to round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. But the weather is set to play its hand this weekend. Yes, this is the Hawke's Bay, really beautiful. Welcome to round 4 of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. I'm Clint Brown and this is the Tom Moana Warehousing Rally of Hawke's Bay. Joining us, the lovely ladies. Tamsin, tell us a bit about the team here.
There's just a few of us girls from the Electrotech dance team. We dance with Dance Express and we dance for the Capital Magpies.
The mighty Magpies in the rugby, aren't they sensational? Hayley, what's the nicest thing about the Hawke's Bay?
The culture and Art Deco.
Exactly. Rosalie, what do you love about the Bay?
I love the wine, the food and the weather.
And of course the fantastic orchards as well. Nicole, what do you love about Hawke's Bay?
Definitely the rally cars.
Oh, go the rally cars. Let's catch up talking about the rally cars with Roger Davis, who has a very important person, one of the local stars behind the wheel, and also one of the sponsors for this big event. What's the call for the weekend, ladies?
Come on, the Bay!
Thanks, Clint. Well, with me is the VIP man, Stuart Taylor, and once again, looks like you brought some glamour to the event.
Yeah, well, sponsoring the event, we want to bring a bit of excitement to the Friday night down here in Napier and give something for everyone to look at, aside from the cars.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the rally, because what the prediction is wet weather. You're starting 6 on the road.
Yeah, with the roads are reasonably dry at the moment. There's a lot of heavy gravel out there. I was quite pleased about the 6th position with the road sweeping in front of me, but there's a very big amount of rain forecast for tomorrow afternoon, and I think that will change the advantage of being 6th on the road.
Well, big problems already. Hayden Patton, they can't get the car across from the Cook Strait. A lot of bad weather, but Hayden's actually here, so he's down here with Clint Brown.
Thanks, Roger. Yes, magnificent scene here as we count down to the ceremonial start. And joining us is the new leader in the championship, Hayden Patton. Tell us about your special stage just to get to the start of the stages tomorrow, because you've had real drama.
Yeah, there's been a few wee dramas, but nothing we can't work our way around. The car just got stuck and picked in. The truck and car been there since yesterday afternoon, and obviously the wild weather down in Wellington hasn't helped our cause. So, but they've just got on the boat and they're on their way up here, so it's going to be a late start.
So all your rivals are here, ready to rock and roll, and your car is still on the way, due to arrive, about 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, hopefully be up here about 2, and then they'll unload, and then we've got a couple hours of work to be done on the car as well. So the guys are all tucked up in bed now, and then they'll start up early, and we'll be all raring to go.
So 11 stages, 266 Ks over 2 days. Hayden Patton, the man out in front of the championship. Let's check him out. It's the Vantage Stage Preview with Emma Gilmore.
After a ceremonial start on Friday night in Napier, we head out to Wairoa for an early start on Saturday morning. First stage, Hira Tower, is 21 kilometres, and it's a very, very cool stage. Have to watch for frost maybe, but head through farmland, some tricky bridge crossings with bridges that have no sides, and very, very cool finish down beside the river. After a refuel, we head into stage Waihi. This is one of my favourite stages in New Zealand rallying. Awesome road, quite wide in parts and really, really fast. Really interesting country, some steep climbs and some steep descents, really, really fun. Following stage is Cricklewood, another fantastic stage. Start up really high with big drops on the left-hand side, and then it opens out this fantastic county road. Really fast and flowing, just an absolute buzz to drive on. Then back to service at Wairoa. After service, we head back into the same block of stages. Hira Tower will be a little bit tricky in spots, especially if it's been wet, because it could just get a bit muddy, and now that 100 cars have gone over the road, it will definitely have changed the character of the road. Then back into Waihi and Cricklewood before we end up back at Wairoa for the end of the day.
So there you go, team. That's a rather bizarre sight, isn't it? the lead driver walking over the start ramp to actually start a rally because his car is still in the Cook Straight. How bizarre. Let the Battle of the Bay begin. And that superstorm, which was lashing the North Island of New Zealand, hadn't quite hit Wairoa by Saturday morning, but plenty of rain had still fallen overnight on the stages, Roger.
Yeah, well, great news for Hayden Paddon, though. He was able to make the start. His teams worked really hard all night to get him here.
We got to Wairoa here at about 6:30, and we had to cut tyres, refuel, new radiator, and a few bits and pieces, and we made it by 2 minutes, made the start by 2 minutes, so plenty of time to spare.
Isn't that the understatement of the night? So Hayden Paddon, can he hold on to his championship lead now after the great effort by the team and a bit of a risk on tyres here too, Roger?
Well, it could be a little bit of a risk because he's gone for a soft compound, but looking at the rain here, I don't really think it is a risk at all.
Won't take long to find out for the man they call Shrek, Hayden Paddon there because of the colours, team green. So he's out on stage. Chris West now lining up at the start.
2, 1.
Remember, they started championship order. We know there's some thick gravel out on the stage, so how will that affect the front cars?
Well, if the conditions were dry, it would be a major disadvantage, but they're wet, and as every car goes over the stage times will get slower.
And back at the start, it's Richard Mason, third place in the championship, running third on the road.
Yes, Richard is used to running from the front, but he's experienced enough to know that these conditions can change even after a few cars. Richard is running a Dunlop tyre. He has chosen to run a medium, not a soft. The drivers are worried about trashing soft compound tyres over the 3 stages before service.
So the question is, who's made the right tyre choice? Hayden Paddon now on the road. Lead car on the stage.
Well, let's look at his stage time coming down to the finish here, Clint. 12:08.2. Let's see if that's competitive.
Well, Chris West has made big improvements to his car with that win at Whangarei, but he still trails Paddon in the points, so a win is vital here.
Opens 80. 4 left minus.
Well, let's have a look at Chris West there. He's got the rally eyes on for sure.
4 right.
Quite a bit of steering movement, so that could cost him a bit of time. He looks like he's all over the road. 12:13.2. He's quite a bit slower than Hayden Paddon.
5 seconds down. Now, that's the Mitsubishis. Let's see what the lead Subaru can do out on stage with Richard Mason and the B&T machine.
Well, Richard told me he's done a lot of testing since Whangarei, but in a spare car. Well, this car was being rebuilt after the rollover in Whangarei. But all that testing will mean nothing if he's made the wrong tyre choice, Clint.
5 left minus.
Down to the line.
Finish 3 right.
It's going to be slower. 12 minutes, 21.6. He's lost 13 seconds. So the top 3 split by 13 seconds already. The road not looking like it's going to get a lot better. Dean Sumner next through the stage. And he's on Dunlops.
Yes, I can confirm, like Richard Mason, Dean is running Dunlop tyres. We would expect them to be pretty good in these conditions. He's made a big tread cut in these tyres, but so far only Hayden seems to have made the right tyre choice, Clint.
Finishing 3 right.
Let's see what his time coming down to the line.
30.
12 minutes, 36.8. That's a slow start for Dean. He's got a lot of work to do. Brett Martin's car's virtually identical to Dean's. This will be an interesting comparison too, and also a difference in tyres.
Yes, running the MRF tyres. Now, he hasn't gone in with a cut here. They can't cut these tyres because the blocks are too small. The tyres will fall to pieces. And have also gone from a medium to a hard compound.
12 minutes, 35.8. He's just a second quicker than Dean Sumner. Stuart Taylor hoping for a great result in his home rally. Of course, he's also the sponsor, Tom Moana Warehousing, hanging it out to dry there too in the wet conditions. Remember, his dad, Trevor Taylor, drives the Zero car in all the New Zealand Championship rounds of the rallies.
Well, the other problem he could have is he only went for a half cut instead of a full cut. These conditions, you really need a cut. And the car looks, he's gone off. Oh, yes, he has, Clint. He's spun the car right round. No traction here.
Difficult, slippery day to start the Rally of the Bay. So he's lost time there. Emma Gilmore now, another driver hoping for clear conditions. She's not going to get it, though. Running on Pirelli tyres. Emma's time, 12 minutes, 48.5, 6th overall. Callum McInnes has been on similar pace to Emma all season. He's running in 8th place on the road, right behind her.
Concrete Bridge, 60. 6 right plus. 30.
Well, if the weather was dry, it'd be the perfect place to be, but now it's where it's a major disadvantage to be running at 8.
Keep right over small crest.
Traction could be a problem.
6 left, 150.
Sloane Cox, the first of our junior trio to hit the stage. Another new experience for these three too in conditions like this.
Yes, Sloane at 13 minutes and 5 seconds. In fact, it was Andre Meyer who was the quickest of these three. 12.54.2 and 9th overall.
Kirsty Nelson, 11th overall, but in trouble here with a bit of a slow time, 13 minutes and 28 seconds. Struggling in the wet, the Northlander. So after just one stage, it looks like being up front is certainly going to suit Hayden Paddon. Only Chris West able to match his pace.
Well, Emma Gilmore in 6th place, but expect to see Stuart Taylor move up. He's on 7th. Andre Meyer leading rookie at 9th.
Welcome back to the Battle of the Bay. Stage 2 Waihi, the longest stage of the day. 34 kilometres conditions. Still difficult, wet and demanding. But still could be an advantage for Hayden Paddon out in front.
Look at that commitment going across that bridge. He hardly lifted it at all.
John Kennard, very experienced co-driver. Hayden Paddon, very relaxed behind the wheel, heading down towards the stage. The record is 19 minutes, 22 seconds, so he certainly won't be breaking that today in these sort of wet, slippery conditions. 21.08 seconds. So the weather certainly having a major impact today.
You going, Hayden?
Yeah, not bad. The first stage wasn't too bad, but that one there's so much gravel in there, and you can just feel the time loss every corner, and it's just sapping so much power out of the car. So it was quite hard in there, really. Everything seemed like it was in slow-mo.
Chris West couldn't match Paddon's pace again through here. In fact, he was another 6 seconds slower. So Paddon now looking like an 11-second lead. Very handy so early on too.
It's pretty tough. There's not a lot of grip out there, and we've got a stone jammed in the back wheel. It just kept locking the wheel up. It's obviously been, jammed in between the rim and the caliper. So you can smell it now. So it's obviously, it's obviously done something there. But hopefully, the pedal feels all right at this stage. So we'll take them off and see what we can do.
Richard Mason was off the pace on stage 1. Can he do better on stage 2?
Well, not just a matter of can he has to get back up on the pace to redeem that crash from Rally at Whangarei. This is make it or break it for Richard's championship. And the car's looking a little bit loose here, Clint.
Sarah Mason, his wife, calling the pace notes.
He's going to be slower than Hayden.
14.5.
We got Paddon 11 seconds in front of West, and you were down by about 13 after stage 1. What was the second stage like for you?
Well, I think it was pretty good. We made some big suspension changes, so it felt okay. Here we go. Yeah, mediocre. There you go. So we'll have to keep working on it.
5 right minus.
Stu Taylor was lucky to escape with a spin on stage 1. Now he's on the charge in stage 2.
He certainly is on the charge, and you notice the stage, there's a lot more gravel on this stage than there was earlier. Again, he's drifting out a little bit wide. He's
hanging around to dry here.
He's on a mission, although notice he backs off for the bridge. Hayden didn't.
His time, 21 minutes, 12.7. He's made up good ground on the stage. Killer McInnes, a real mover on this stage too. He's improved to 7th overall, a stage time of 21 minutes, 28.3.
Caution.
Yes, well, he's certainly slowed by the deteriorating conditions.
Opens over small crest, 80.
This car's looking a little bit vague, actually. When he puts it in the corner, it's getting a bit wide. He may actually have a problem with this car.
Long 5 right opens, 30.
Webb Martin also slower through this stage, another 1.5 seconds behind McInnes. He drops to the top 5 behind Stu Taylor.
Well, the problem Brett Martin's got is they had a big delay before the start of this stage, so all the tyres have cooled off. He's gone for a fairly hard compound, so there's no heat in the tyres at all, which is going to be a traction problem.
6 left, tightens over narrow concrete bridge. 5 left.
I think you might see a tyre choice change over the afternoon for Brett Martin.
30 to 5 long right.
Emma Gilmore was around the same pace as McInnes and Martin, 21 minutes 32.3, but unfortunately the increased pace of Stu Taylor McInnes saw her finish the stage 8th overall, down 2 places.
Tightens late into long 4 left minus. Long 4 left minus.
And it wasn't much better for Dean Sumner too in those atrocious conditions. He was slower again on the stage, 21 minutes, 34.6.
Well, this is quite disappointing for Dean as he is running 4 on the road. So in a way, he's got the pick of the conditions, but you can see there a line is starting to develop, but the road, quite a bit of gravel. And again, Dean getting a bit sideways.
We've got a punch on the rear right, eh? Yeah, caution.
Well, there you go. He's obviously got a problem on the right rear of the car.
We've only got a few K to go.
Wow, look at that, just keeping it on the road. Good to see the fans out in such difficult conditions as well. To the battle of the teenagers now. Cox and Meyer, closer than ever. Sloane plucked back 8 seconds on Meyer through the stage, 9th fastest. Meyer still held on to 9th overall, though, just by the slimmest of margins, 2 seconds between the teenagers. Kirsty Nelson still held on to 11th place overall, but once again, her time was a lot slower than the other four-wheel drives. Aaron Cook was the first Kiwi 2 car on the road, but was having a dreadful time with no 4th gear and would struggle through the morning at the back of the Kiwi 2 class. Dave Strong seemed to be the man to beat on stage 1, 12th overall, established a 6-second lead over Patrick Malley. But on stage 2, Malley came back in the Fiesta.
Yes, Clint, a matter of the less powerful Fiesta having better handling and traction in the wet, and that allowed Malley to get an 11-second lead by the end of stage 2.
Ben Jagger was 3rd after stage 1, but crashed out on special stage 2.
What happened? Oh, we just came out and got into the loose stuff out in the side there, and there was no going back. We hit one strainer and bounced off that one, then spun the car around and into the next strainer, and yeah, she's ripped the front wheel off and all the front end out of the car, so I don't think we'll be going for the rest of the weekend.
That left Reg Cook 3rd in Kiwi 2, still 30 seconds ahead of Aaron Cook and lying in 15th overall. And no, you're not seeing double. This is the second New Zealand Truth Fiesta run by Patrick's mum and dad, the senior Malleys.
Yes, Malley Senior was adding to the Kiwi 2 numbers after initially entering the Classic class in an Escort. But now he's acting as tail gunner for Patrick, hoping to take points off the competition if they encountered problems.
Robert Murray was the best equipped in the Classics for the conditions. His more modern RX-7 has always been better with the traction in these sort of wet conditions than some of the older cars. By the end of stage 2, he was leading the class by 70 seconds, lying in 14th overall. First time that the Classics have been back into the championship since round 2 at Otago. Rob Wiley, 2nd overall going into this round.
Well, the Nissan 240 RS, a little bit older than the RX-7. This was a car that Tony Teasdale used in 1984, whereas the RX-7 is Neil Allport's championship winning car from 1986. And of course, the Mazda, definitely more powerful. Still, Rob doing well to be 17th overall at the end of stage 2.
Great when those old cars get wound up. The Mazda of Ewan Fuge continued to challenge Wiley, though, as it's been right throughout the past season. This time the Mazda driver, though, would have to settle for 3rd in the class by just 1.5 seconds, making this one of the closest battles in the rally. And just watching Deborah Kibble there off the start line, it's easy to see that her car is just not suited to these slippery conditions.
Yes, Clint, big turbo, power comes on suddenly, hard enough to keep those wheels from spinning. Still, Deborah, 4th here in class, and she's only 15 seconds behind Fuge.
Right behind them, Keith Franken having his own little battle with Mike Cameron. Franken was slower on stage 1, but the position swapped around on stage 2. Cameron would end up 30 seconds behind Franken. So Hayden Padden now leading by 11 seconds. Stu Taylor, the big mover, up from 7th to 4th.
Dean Sumner drops to 6th, but McInnes overtakes Gilmore to move into 7th.
Welcome back to the Battle of the Bay. Stage 3 now, the only stage to go before service. The weather shows no sign of abating. Cricklewood stage, considered to be one of the best rally roads in New Zealand. It rewards smooth, fast driving.
Yes, Clint, this is a magnificent stage. All the drivers just love this stage. Hayden Padden has taken the field by surprise here. If anyone has a chance to get to him, it'll be on this stage because of the length.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Great shot points from the start of the stage 2. Chris West underway. Can he peg back the difference now?
Right plus.
Yes, Chris will know after 2 stages that he has a tyre issue. So a certain amount of frustration could be creeping in here.
Talking about frustration, Richard Mason. He lost 27 seconds over the first 2 stages. Not happy with the suspension in the B&T Subaru.
Yeah, but knowing Richard, he will be analysing the situation, trying everything to get more pace out of the car. Richard does not like to lose, and he'll be highly motivated here.
Just like Hayden Patton, young, ambitious, had an unsettling start to this event, but he's got a sniff of victory here. Great effort by the team just to get that car here, ready to rally, ready to race by only 2 minutes. Remember, they made that start line.
Well, look at the stage here, Clint. Fantastic. Wouldn't you want a taste of this?
You betcha if you're Hayden Patton right out in the front of the field. Best conditions today.
Hayden looks like being one on the road could be the place to be today.
I think it's 2 3s and half a dozen. There's a lot of gravel out there, and there's also a lot of mud. So it's obviously not a bad place to be, but yeah, no, it's going good.
Coming into the stage, you had 11-second rally lead.
Yeah, once again, like the first 2 stages didn't feel very good from my respect. So, and that one there didn't feel any good either. So we'll wait and see what the time is this time.
So that's the problem also being out in the front of the field. You don't know what the other guys have done behind you. Chris West, the stage record holder here, but that was 2 years ago in much better conditions.
Minus on crest into short 6.
Well, he's cutting the apex pretty fine here, Clint.
4 left.
As you can see right there.
Flat right 50.
Real cat and mouse game.
Plus.
Setting the pace, staying on the pace.
Into short 6 right minus over finish.
Battle of tactics over the tyres. Down to the line, 17:30.10. He's slower. 13 seconds down to Patton now. So, could this be a chance for Richard Mason to move up?
60. 6 left.
Certainly a chance for him, and he certainly looks like he's going for it through here.
It's amazing how his championship has turned around since that big rollover in Whangarei.
I think we might have a good time coming up here, to be honest.
Well, he had great pace early on in the season. Look at this, 17.3. Oh, he's back.
I'm good at that.
Richard, bit of an improvement. You're only 1 second behind Hayden through there.
Yeah, getting it a bit better there. We found out that we didn't have any water spray in the car on the stage before. We managed to empty out our camel packs and things and just get a little bit in there. It's surprising what it does to horsepower.
So with Mason closing into within 3 seconds of West, where will that leave Stu Taylor now?
Well, he was 25 seconds behind Richard going into the stage. Remembering he had a spin on the first stage. Home event, sponsor. He really wants to do well in this event.
8 left. 15. Finish.
Down on Hayden and Richard.
Down to the finish now. What's his time going to be? 17:26.6. Third fastest now. 35 seconds behind Mason, though, in fourth. Dean Sumner and Brett Martin continued their battle for fifth. This time it was Sumner who would have the edge. In fact, he was just a second slower than Westy through the stage. And Martin was 15 seconds slower than Sumner through that stage, so he'd lost a place, slipping back to sixth.
3 right. 30.
Now on board with Callum McInnes. And as I said earlier, he's struggling with this car. You can see there the back is taken over. I'd almost think this car's two-wheel drive. You can see it going through that corner too. Maybe the centre diff's not working, but he's definitely struggling with the car. Struggling big time. He's off. He's gone off.
Big struggle there for the Tauranga driver.
Well, to be honest with you, Clint, I don't really think it was Callum's fault. You could see leading up to this, the car was very sideways, almost like rear-wheel drive, and it probably was. The centre diff probably wasn't working, and there it goes. Bang, it goes round, and he's gone over the bank. End of the day for Callum.
Kept trying to swap ends all day.
Yeah, we just got a little bit wide coming over the crest before the corner, and we're heading for the outside bank, so we had to chuck it in pretty early, and front just grabbed in, back went around, down the bank, nowhere to go.
Luckily didn't go any further. He wasn't alone though. Dave Strong saw his championship chances go west when mechanical failure sidelined the Honda in stage 3.
Well, I think it's an axle this time. It's making a few noises and no drive in any gear. The speedo still says I'm moving, but I'm not, so that's why we're on a road.
Ewan Fuge also in trouble here when his engine started blowing out a bit of oil in the old Mazda. So Paddon now in command, a 24-second lead over West. Mason closing in third place.
Brett Martin goes back to 6th place, but look at Emma Gilmore, only 10 seconds further afield in 7th.
And Patrick Malley leads Kiwi 2 in 10th. Robert Murray leads the Classics in 12th. So at the very wet Wairoa service, lots of changes in store for the drivers as they look for the wet setup in the afternoon.
Hayden 3 stages down, 24.2 second lead.
Yeah, it's not a bad start. Obviously the conditions are helping us out a little bit, and we made quite a... This morning I might have been a bit of an aggressive tyre choice, going for a soft compound tyre, which we haven't done for that sort of length of stages before, and it's worked an absolute treat. So so far so good, and there's definitely a lot of room for improvement yet.
The rain coming down even heavier, so it's probably going to suit you one on the road again.
I think it will, yeah. Although the second stage is a lot of really heavy, thick gravel, and it's, by the sounds of it, it's not really sweeping, it's more really spreading. So that sort of stage, it's the same for everyone. But so the first one, by the sounds of it, is quite muddy, and obviously the further you up you are, the better.
Chris second at the moment, but Hayden stretched it out to 24 odd seconds.
Yeah, he's just edging away, and there's unfortunately we can't do a lot about it at this stage. So we'll just press on and see what comes out of it this afternoon.
Being number one on the road for him, is that an advantage?
Oh, I don't think it's an advantage. No, be fair to say if you're half a dozen cars behind, it'll be starting to get a bit slower. But no, I don't think there's certainly better to be at the front than at the back.
Richard, third place after 3 stages, a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow start this morning. I thought we had the car pretty nice as usual, and started the first stage and it was just a bit all over the show. The back was too hard, the front was too soft, and made some real big changes to shocks going into stage 2. And I started the stage thinking, oh God, it's no good, like the handling was still no good. But as the tyres warmed up, it actually came quite right. So second half of stage 2 was actually quite good for us.
More rain expected this afternoon, conditions fairly treacherous.
Fairly slippery out there. We've certainly gone for more grooving on the tyres and just trying to get a bit more out of it,
Still a bit of a problem in the first stage.
We had a very big scare. We entered a corner, it's about the last corner of the stage, and came in too fast. There was no grip. The roads were a bit chewed up, and I just went off the road and spun right round. We had trouble getting the car started, but I think we would have lost time regardless of that spin as well. It was a tough stage.
Well, you certainly recovered. You're in 4th place at the moment.
Yeah, the roads, the next 2 stages, they're not as slippery, they're not as cut up. So I think we had a reasonably good run through there. I'm a bit wary about what they're going to be like next time out, but it'll be the same for all of us this time.
Patrick, Ben Jagger's gone off earlier this morning, so as far as the Fiesta's are concerned, you move virtually to the top of the tree.
Yeah, we're very happy. I mean, it puts us on a level playing field when it comes down to it, and that's all we wanted to try and do. So from tomorrow, it's going to be all on.
Bert, big lead in the classic class. Things going well?
Yeah, really well. The Mainfreight RX-7's run brilliantly. The conditions have been very tricky. It's a hard car to drive in these sort of conditions, but it's gone really well, and we've won every stage and got a substantial lead, so we'll just bring it home now and get the points.
Rob, tricky conditions out there. Bert Murray's disappeared in the distance.
Yes, he has, and it's just about getting the stage of survival. I mean, the next run through the stages are going to be very difficult because they were sloppy enough the first time, and with this wet weather, it's not going to iron them out or dry them out. So it's going to be very tricky, and it can just slip off and for no apparent reason. It's just so easy to slip off at very low speed. So it's going to be tricky, and we'll just get through today, I think.
You in problems in stage 3?
Yeah, I don't know what's actually gone wrong, but engine locked up. No oil pressure, blew all the oil out. And first I knew about it, we had the lights on and the diff locked up, and we're heading through the fence. So
bit of a scary moment in these conditions.
It was a bit.
You gotta love that for attitude. Coming up after the break, changes are made, tyres are on. Can anyone catch the green machine? Hayden Paddon, check it out. Welcome back to the Battle of the Bay, and the weather is worsening after the lunch break, so tyre choice, suspension setup, absolutely critical for the afternoon.
Very critical, Clint. In fact, Hayden got it right this morning, pulled the trump card, went for the soft compound tyre, really worked for him. But Hayden and probably the other team that put more cut in their tyres to get them working below the surface, and maybe the other teams have gone to a soft compound as well. The other question for Hayden, how much of the road's cut up after the first time through?
Well, they're cutting through the roads nicely through there on those tyres at the moment. With the increased rain, wet conditions, how much slower will the times be today too?
Well, traditionally, Clint, the times get faster because of sweat roads, but these muddy conditions, as Hayden goes a bit wide there, these muddy conditions, they will get slower, I think.
And his time's going to be slower too, 12 minutes 31.2. Wow, that's 13 seconds slower than the first run.
Well, that's interesting. Either the road has got a lot worse or Hayden has backed off through the stage for safety. It's always hard to manage your pace when you're running number one on the road. Chris West here, running number two.
Certainly got a plenty of experience of doing that today. His main concern, though, will be whether his tyres can get enough heat into them to get enough grip. Hasn't been happy all morning. He's on Yokohama tyres compared to Patton with B.F. Goodrich.
The finish into 4 right plus.
12 minutes 25.8, so that's an improvement for Westy. So can Richard Mason now make up some time after all his changes too at service, Roger.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go 106 right over.
Yes, we're watching Richard at the service break in Wairau. He spent a lot of time with the Dunlop tyre technicians making cuts to the tyre, and of course he's probably changed to the soft compound.
6 right over crest. 85 right, don't go wide.
Well, those changes look like they're working. This looks more like the Richard Mason of old from the start of the championship. On the pace here.
Certainly does, Clint. He's trying through here. He really has to as well. He's got to get up there, and in fact, he really has to win the leg today to keep his championship alive.
5 left opens to a 6 plus, 120.
And as you can see in the shots there, he definitely is trying.
80.
So it's Mason trying to charge back through the field, closing in on the time that Westy set. Down to the finish, 12 minutes, 18.2. Wow, he's taken second place off Westy. Closed within 15 seconds of Patton. Emma Gilmore now put on a surprise on stage 4 to be 4th fastest. Her time between West and Patton on the stage, she remains 7th outright. Stuart Taylor should be faster this time through too. Remember, he had that big spin, that big scare he talked about going through the first go on the stage.
Yes, the other disadvantage, of course, running further down the order, you can see there the road cutting up.
80.
This is that corner, and he nails it this time. In fact, Stuart only 6th fastest on the stage, 19 seconds slower than Mason, but still holding on to that 4th position.
But here at the end there. That's here all the way through.
So less than consistent. Big mover on the stage, along with Mason, though. Brett Martin, 2nd fastest, just 6 seconds slower than Mason.
Left 50.
Well, probably the thing is they've changed the tyre compound. They've gone to a soft tyre, and it's really going to start to work for Brett.
80.
The MRF tyres with a soft compound are brilliant in these conditions.
Well, one man's gain is another man's loss. Dean Subner drops back 12 seconds behind Brett now to be 6th.
What a great battle between Dean and Brett Martin. One of the highlights of the season so far.
After a slow start, Sloane Cox back in front of Andre Meyer now, slowly extending that gap to 21 seconds.
This is another great battle for the season. No doubt these guys will be leading the championship in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, and it's great to see these young guys coming through the sport, gaining plenty of experience. Pace setters of the future. So it's Hayden Patton still in control, though, talking about setting the pace. Richard Mason moves up to 2nd at the expense of Chris West.
Emma Gilmore closing the gap on 6th place. Sloane Cox leading the teenagers.
So just 60 kilometres left for the day, and Hayden Patton defending a 30-second lead. Richard Mason about half a second, a kilometre faster on the last stage. If he can keep up that same pace, who knows, they might be tied by the end of the rally. Amazing.
Well, this is really Hayden's to lose. He may only be 21 years old, but this young driver has a good head on his shoulders. Remember this morning, Hayden set the pace on this stage.
The rain really coming down hard now as the storm belts into Hawke's Bay along with the rest of the country. How's it going to affect the drivers? Look at the conditions.
Well, look at Hayden Patton as well. He's on an absolute charge coming through here. Oh, he's gone a little bit wide there, Clint.
Good use of the road, though.
Well, this is a sign of a fantastic rally driver. Fast downhill. You always know a good rally driver because they're very quick coming down, and Hayden Patton is definitely fast downhill.
In fact, he's 12 seconds faster than this morning, 20 minutes 47.8. Still not happy, though. You hear the driver say it's very slippery out there, so that's the challenge laid down by Patton. Now, it's the B&T Subaru of Richard Mason.
Something smells a bit funny, doesn't it?
Oh, they've got problems.
Repeat, fast 3 left minus. Can we make it? 4 right minus. 30.
Wow, what a dramatic turnaround for Richard Mason.
Well, you can hear some noises in that gearbox.
Senator.
Well, there you go. He's just said Senator. That's the end of it for Richard.
So, drama on the stages of Hawke's Bay. That's a big dent in the chances of Richard Mason, but it's a big chance now for Chris West to close up, get back into the chase for the championship.
4 right, tightens into 2 left, and 3 right minus long. Over finish, into 4 left minus long, tightens.
20 minutes 58.6, so West stays in second place. 30 seconds back though, still chasing Patton. Brett Martin again, the man on the move. Second fastest on the stage.
80.
Well, it's become a bit of a pattern with Brett. He falls behind in the early stages and then comes charging back in the afternoon. But we all know why this afternoon, because he's got the soft compound tyres on.
To a long 4 right, tightens to a 3, opens.
So Martin's on the move, third overall, 56 seconds behind West now. And that's really put the pressure on Dean Sutton as he's been moving up. It means that Stuart Taylor's closing in on the Rotorua driver. Look how close they are to the bank as well.
Yeah, and some big drops down there too.
So even though he's losing a bit of time to Martin, he's actually closing in and getting past Stu Taylor on the stage. Taylor dropping back at the clutches of a fast improving Dean Sutner. Was it a good stage for the rally sponsor? He dropped back to 5th overall, half a second behind. But still out in front after stage 5, Hayden Patton now leading Chris West by 29 seconds, Martin third, Sumner, and there's that split second back to Taylor. In the battle for the New Zealand Classic Championship, Robert Murray was going all out to score as many points as he could over series leader Rob Wiley. Murray had the RX-7 in the top 10 and would finish the day with a 2-minute 11-second lead over Rob Wiley.
Well, Rob Wiley's been very clever here. He's taken no risks, and with Ewan Fuge retiring, he could easily hold on to second place, and that would keep him in the championship lead at the end of the day. Now, just remember, this car won the New Zealand title in 1984 with Tony Teasdale. I wonder if there'd be a repeat 24 years later.
Deborah Kibble's Lancer Turbo was possibly the most difficult car to drive to these conditions. Lots of turbo lag. She was constantly balancing the throttle with wheel spin, so a good effort to get through the day unscathed and take third in the classics. After a seesaw battle, Keith Frankham took 4th place in his AE86 Corolla.
Well, Clint, Mike Cameron wasn't complaining about his last place. He told us at the start of the rally he spends more time in the stages than anyone else, so he gets great value for money.
No value, though, for Aaron Cook. Hates this rally and struggled with 4th gear all through the day before his normally reliable Honda cried enough.
Yeah, we're sort of making our way through the day, sort of making the most of having no 4th gear, and the engines just let go all of a sudden just at the top of the hill here coming on the ridge. We'd lost a lot of time this morning with no 4th gear, but with so many people dropping out, we're sort of climbed back up through the placings and we're heading on our way for good points, but then this happened.
The other Cook, Reg, was also out with the roll down a bank on stage 5, so just 2 finishes in Kiwi 2.
Well, ain't that the truth, Clint? Just taking one of your lines. Dermot Malley bringing home the number 23 Truth Fiesta, home in 14th overall and 2nd in class.
And a great result too for Malley Jr., then lead Kiwi 2 car, leading Fiesta, which takes him into the lead of the Fiesta Series and a real chance for that Ford Motorsport scholarship at the end of the year. In the group ends, it was Kirsty Nelson who finished an indifferent day in 12th place in her Subaru. As you can see, just struggling to get home. Andre Meyer couldn't improve in his 8th place. He was over a minute behind Sloane Cox, but he now has a commanding lead though in that rookie title fight. Again, Sloane Cox kept his head, finished 7th overall, taking on board the experience gained from these conditions as he heads for his first time at Repco Rally New Zealand. Emma Gilmore survived the conditions too to finish 6th overall and lead the Subarus home in what's been a rally dominated by the Mitsubishis. Stu Taylor would finish the day in 5th, frustrating 8.6 seconds behind Dean Sumner.
Yep, well, that spin on stage 1 coming back to haunt Stewart. However, there is good news. With Richard Mason's demise, he's now 3rd in the championship.
5 left plus at Stockyards, 34 right plus.
Dean Sumner had a great fight too with Brett Martin for that 3rd place. He fought all the way to the end of the day, including a near moment in the final stage. However, he was still the 2nd fastest through the stage.
Yes, a near moment, a little bit wide there, Dean. Lucky to get away with that one, son.
Very long.
In the end, though, Brett Martin's pace on these 3 afternoon stages lifted him to another podium finish, 45 seconds behind Chris West. In fact, Brett had the fastest average times over the 3 afternoon stages, so he cannot be far away from winning a rally this season.
5 right.
For Chris West, 2nd was always going to be the best result. Unfortunately, his tyres were just the wrong compound to cope with these extreme weather conditions.
Yes, well, he didn't have a soft compound, so he has struggled. But a great drive, a gritty drive from Westy, in fact. Unfortunately, though, 5 more points. He loses to Hayden Patton, who's now in the championship lead comfortably.
But turning up, what a great day for Hayden Patton. Superb tactics by his team to put him in front on the morning stages, despite the car not even arriving in Wildrow until the early hours of Saturday morning because of all the weather disruptions of getting across the Cook Strait. Only made it to the start line by 2 minutes. And look at this, great drive.
Yeah, great drive. Not only did Hayden stay cool under pressure, but hats off to his team who made a plan and they stuck to it. Hayden back in the winner's circles, you've done it again.
Yeah, it's excellent. Obviously only half the job done yet. Going to try and repeat the same tomorrow, but backed off a bit too much in that first stage today. It was quite slippery and there's a lot of water, and I obviously misjudged, and Richard took a lot of time off us, and then the second one there we pushed quite hard, and unfortunately Richard stopped in there. So all in all, good points in the bag, and we'll try and repeat it again tomorrow.
So Hayden Patton the winner by 47.6 seconds over West. Great drive back by Brett Martin for 3rd.
Emma Gilmore, 6th overall, 1st Subaru. Great result for Patrick Malley, 1st Kiwi 2, 9th overall.
Robert Murray first in the classic ahead of Rob Wiley, and then drama on day 2. Heavy rain overnight forced the cancellation of the 2nd leg for the Rally of Hawke's Bay. So that meant a big change in the points table too after 4 rounds of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery Championship, now led by Patton from West, Stu Taylor in 3rd.
Well, let's look at Kiwi 2, and Aaron Cook, he's got a big lead over Patrick Malley, and Dave Strong now slipped back to 3rd place.
And a handy lead too for Rob Wiley with just 1 round to go in the Classic Championship, and that's the Possumbourne Rally as part of Repco Rally New Zealand. In the juniors, it's still Patton way out in front from Andre Meyer with Sloane Cox 3rd. So here we are Sunday morning with a rather bizarre finish to the Tamawana Warehousing Rally of Hawke's Bay, the 4th round of the Vantage Aluminium Joinery New Zealand Rally Championship. It started in a bizarre fashion, it's finished in a bizarre way, so it could be a big turning point for the championship too, Roger.
Certainly could be. Hayden Patton, 28-point lead. Richard Mason, he was ready to start today, but of course no rally today, so his championship basically is almost gone. So 3 legs left, and Hayden Patton, 28-point lead, he's looking good.
Actually, 29 now because he gets a bonus point as well.
Yeah, well, correct. No rally today, so he gets that as well. So, yeah, like you say, 29 over Chris West.
So how does this change the championship heading towards Repco Rally New Zealand now? What sort of pressure going into those 2 legs before the big finale in Nelson?
Well, the pressure's probably on Chris West. He's the man that really can get up there and beat Hayden Patton. But all Hayden Patton has to do is really finish in the top 2 or 3 in the next 3 legs, and it's his championship.
But of course, first he has to finish, as Richard Mason found out, being the first Kiwi last year, and that's still going to be a great battle to look forward to too.
Absolutely. The Repco Rally in New Zealand next round, fantastic. All the WRC cars will be there. It'll be a great rally.
And look forward to your company next week when we take a look at a mid-season review as we count down to that Repco Rally of New Zealand. Will it be the one that makes or break the championship for this year?
Terrific work from Hayden Paddon and the team, especially given that the car and the transporter have been delayed by a full day because of bad weather, eventually getting there at 2 in the morning on the morning of the rally. It needed a huge team effort to get the car on the road, and then day 2 of the rally cancelled because of the bad weather, so Paddon declared the winner for the weekend, leaving Hawke's Bay with a 29-point lead over Chris West with 2 rounds to go. Just about time to run. Here's what's happening next week.